Have you ever been hyped for a game that you've been waiting for months or even years, or seen titles that just have great potential and you just want to see how it plays out, and then when you finally play the games they just end up being disappointing? Well, this is my top 5 most disappointing games ever.
Number 5. Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Metal Gear Solid 5 isn't a bad game, right? Well, no, it's not. It's actually a really good game. I pull out number 5 on this list because not because it's a bad game, but because it's a disappointing game. Being a fan of the franchise since the very beginning, Metal Gear Solid 1, when it was on the PlayStation 1, I fell in love with the series since then, and every single game has lived up to expectations as far as I'm concerned. This one does too. The gameplay is the best Metal Gear Solid has ever been, ever, and that's saying a lot since the rest of the games aren't too shabby. With a brand new open world to explore, it's very new for the Metal Gear Solid series. Going around capturing guards to take back to your base so you can literally build your own army is really fun mechanic, and it adds a lot to the game. As far as the gameplay goes, it's great. It's a 10 out of 10 in my eyes. Where the downside comes from is behind the scenes. We all know Hideo Kojima had a big argument with Konami. They had a disagreement, and you can see that halfway through the game, literally halfway through the game, it starts breaking apart right in front of your eyes. The story just seems to take a turn for the worse. Character stories don't even finish. It's a lot of questions unanswered. And once you beat the last boss and the credits roll, you still not completed the game. There's still a lot to do. The only difference is you gotta do it through forms of side quests, it feels like. It just feels like filler at this point. And once you do get to the very last mission of the whole game, it's just a tutorial of the very beginning of the game. It's still got the button layouts to tell you how to do simple stuff that we already know by now. And then once you do that, you get the big reveal, the big twist, which is disappointing. It doesn't really make much sense. As a fan of the game and the series, I had to go on YouTube and actually look up and watch a slideshow of what was meant to be the intended ending that they couldn't fit into the game in time. Metal Gear 5 promised to be the best game of the series yet, and it was definitely on its way to doing that. It's just once you get halfway through, it gets very disappointing, and that's why I placed it number 5 on this list.
Number 4. Kingdom Hearts 3.
After Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, fans of the series have been waiting 14 years for the final installment of the trilogy, Kingdom Hearts 3. Waiting to play their favourite Disney movie like Toy Story, Monsters Inc. And it's all here in Kingdom Hearts 3, and they play and look fantastic. The story within the worlds can make complete sense. If you're familiar with the movies, then you're gonna know what's going on here. The problem comes from the original story from Kingdom Hearts. It's just far too confusing. You've got the human version, you've got the nobody version, and you've got the heartless version. It's just too much to get your head around, and it seems to take centre of the stage. It really starts to get in the way of your enjoyment of it overall. The combat isn't bad, but it isn't great either. I feel like I was just mashing the square button throughout the whole game. And then every so often it will tell you to press triangle, and then something spectacular happens on the screen. But it kind of makes you question if the game's kind of playing itself. You don't really feel like you're progressing in the game whatsoever. The game overall isn't too bad, it's just disappointing. And that's why I've had to place it number 4 on this list.
Number 3. Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood.
Oh man, where do I begin with this game? If you were to tell me that BioWare was going to take the Sonic IP and create a brand new RPG for the series, I definitely wouldn't have believed you. But here we are, Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood. It got released on the DS. What was promised to us from the trailers was great dialogue, optional dialogue, consequences, great battle system, a very good excuse to take advantage of the many characters in the Sonic franchise, even the unpopular ones. Like, Amy's got the hammer, she should be the powerhouse of the team. Sonic's got the speed, Tails can be the technical character. What we got was like mini games for the battles. Moving your stylus in a certain way to correctly hit your attack and then the enemies would die wasn't really what I had in mind for a BioWare RPG game. And in terms of the dialogue, they give you options to choose, but whether you choose one or the other, the outcome doesn't change. You might get one or two different dialogues, but then it will go straight back to the main path of the story. Being a big fan of the Mario RPGs, it was surely time for Sonic to get their great RPG that we can play and love, especially with BioWare taking over. And what we got here was a very big missed opportunity for something that could have been very great. Unlike the last two games I've talked about, this game isn't a good game. I didn't enjoy it, I didn't like it, it disappointed me to no end.
Number 2. PlayStation AllStars Battle Royale.
With the amount of great IPs Sony has under its belt, it was about time it got its own Smash Brothers on its platform. Great characters like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Kratos from the God of War, cute characters like Sackboy. Seeing them all interact with each other was something great, and the intro for the game was one of my favourite intros even to this day. Now the game did get a lot of heat for copying Smash Bros too much before the game launched, but that's where the problem lied for me. It just didn't copy Smash Bros enough. Half the ideas were from Smash Bros and half the ideas were from themselves, and half the game was good, and I can let you guess which half I liked. It's just all the ideas they came up with, they just didn't seem to work. The whole game was based around finishes to eliminate your opponent rather than knocking them off the edge like in Smash Brothers. So if your character didn't have a good finisher, you're not going to be able to eliminate many people, and that was definitely the case in this game. There'll be certain characters that have great moves, but if they didn't have good finishers, there's no way you're getting KOs with that character. And the way it worked with the finishers, you had level 1, level 2 and level 3. But most of the time you'll just use your level 1 finisher anyway. Some characters in the game level 1 finishers were a lot better than their level 2s or 3s. It kinda got to the point when some matches would just go on for 5 to 10 minutes because no one can hit each other with that finisher. They've dealt so much damage to each other, but it didn't matter after all of that. Being a big fan of Smash Brothers, this game was a massive letdown and a massive missed opportunity from Sony. The potential's still there if they ever think of making a sequel, which I think they should. They can definitely get it right the second time round. But as for now, PlayStation AllStars Battle Royale is number 2 on my list.
And number 1. Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Ah man, Capcom really dropped the ball with this game. Being a massive fan of fighting games in general, Street Fighter Cross Tekken is by far one of the biggest crossovers I've ever seen in any kind of fighting game. And all the way up until the launch of the game, they were absolutely killing it with the trailers. All cinematic trailers showing off characters from Tekken fighting characters from Street Fighter. They had so many different ones, it got you so hyped for the game. So where did it go wrong for this game? Well, before the game came out, they told us about the gem system, which was part of the core game and you couldn't take it off. And the way the gem system worked was if you equip a certain gem, you could get a power boost or extra health. The only problem is some of them were locked behind DLC. Some of them were even locked behind store exclusive like Game or GameStop in America. So you're fighting people who had a massive advantage over you. This just didn't go down well with the audience. And then we had 16 characters on the disc that was locked behind DLC on launch, and very cash grabby. The gameplay didn't sit very well with a lot of people too, and myself included. Playing as a team of 2 is not a bad idea, and you can swap your character at any point. A lot of the games actually went to timeout. One of the main strategies was to time out your opponent. It even got like a nickname, Street Fighter Cross Timeout. It was just unreal. It's sad to say, but after a couple of months of the game's launch, the game just slowly died out. And even Capcom stopped supporting the game. They even went back to Street Fighter 4 and started adding more DLC characters to that game, when this game was supposed to carry on all the way to Street Fighter 5. It was just a waste of everybody's time, Street Fighter fans and Tekken fans. Even now looking back on the game, it just makes me angry thinking about it. So that's why I've got to put this game as number 1 on my most disappointing games. And there you have it guys, my top 5 most disappointing games ever. Please like the video and tell us your most disappointing game in the comments below. I've been Nathan, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. GG's.